And we are in a wonderful, glorious assembly of devotees headed by Krishna Kanta Didi, the head of our wonderful Italian community.
And Munina's flat.
Munindra Prabhu, the other half of the pair, is unwell right now. And we have some wonderful devotees from Ukraine here. And we also have Kalia Daman Prabhu, who's originally from Venezuela, living in Spain and doing so much to help the devotees. And we have one of our precious, rarely seen brahmacharis. A rare breed nowadays. Look at him, glorious in saffron. And we are at the feet of Giriraj Govardhan here. And we are on the outskirts of Milano. And we are surrounded by beautiful Milanese. I was told that there's a thing about ugly Milanese yesterday. Oh, you haven't heard of that? This Dina Turan and Madhur Nanda also, they know about it. There is something about ugly Milanese, but here it's all beautiful Milanese. So very happy to be here with all of you today. We have our host, Chinmoy Prabhu, who has to do a Mona Vrata right now. That's like silence mode. And we have Steve, our dear friend, in USA, Robert in UK, Rasaraj Prabhu in New York City, Dandavat, Dulal Krishna Prabhu, Ross is tuning in, and we have Bhakti Jason. And what is this Bhakti LARP? Please explain.
Well, I'm just LARPing as a bhakta. I'm not really joined up yet, but so I'm just simulating.
I see. Well, we're very, very happy as always to have you with us. And Ganga Leela Devi Dasi is with us, Krishnanjani Didi in Turkey, Sulalita, and James. I'm not sure I know this James, maybe joining for the first time.
Hare Krishna, Vishakha.
Hare Krishna.
I'm friends with Robert Prabhu. I'm from Hampshire.
Oh, right, all right. A nice British representation today.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. And we have Anudas. Oh, is he in your WhatsApp?
Maybe yes.
Yeah. Welcome, Udaran Prabhu. And Munindra Mohan Prabhu has also joined us. Everyone, please send your well wishes to Munindra Prabhu. And we also have our dear brother Jayadev Prabhu, Tungarasa in Norway, Ajita Krishna Prabhu in USA, Dadu Gopal Prabhu in Ireland, Suvasini Didi, beloved sister in Ireland. Bhakti Jim is also with us. Beautiful group today. We'll to suggest a topic for today. Tomorrow is Brahma Samhita. Yeah. Today is questions and tomorrow is Brahma Samhita. Does anyone have a burning question or suggest?
I just like to say, I don't know if this is true for everyone else, but does Vishakha, does she seem to be going in and out with her internet connection? Yeah, goes back and forth. You're moving very slowly.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can give you a spot.
Yeah, I also can't hear you very well. Okay, we're gonna try another connection.
Yeah, it's very choppy.
Yeah. And Marie has also joined us. Welcome, Marie. Oh, they've all frozen. Okay.
Yes.
It's not coming up yet. Okay, sorry about that, everyone. We now are on a better connection.
Hopefully.
So, hopefully. Okay, so does anyone have the topic for today? And also welcome Dana's joined us and Anu Krishna. Wow, beautiful group today. Anything at all anyone wants to suggest? Scarlett has also joined.
Pranams, I have a question about, you had posted a lecture and you were referring to Srila Sridhar Maharaj, who had held an analogy that in the scripture, maybe the Vedas specifically, they could be interpreted as like a cacophony of tonality, like many sounds without proper discrimination, and that there was, unless you knew the central tone, or that you knew the goal was to find the central tone. And I was just so interested in just the way that was shared, and if we might discuss a little bit about that in that way, or if there's a link that we have for a video or a talk of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Thank you.
Well, I'm really happy that you brought that up, Dulal Krishna Prabhu. Yes, this was at a meeting. This was actually a kirtan event in Santa Monica a few weeks ago. A kirtan event with Jayadev and Chintamani. And this was a group of persons who are interested in the Vedic culture and kirtan, but perhaps in somewhat of a general way. And I wasn't planning to be there, and I didn't have anything planned to say, but this, by Gurudev's grace, this inspiration came to me to speak on this topic. And it's actually a section in one of our books. It's I believe Search for Sri Krishna, Reality the Beautiful, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he speaks there. It's a very, as I'm happy how much it touched you, because it is very beautiful the way Srila Sridhar Maharaj presents it, and this idea that within the Vedas there are so many different vibrations, right? And actually the Vedas, their root is sound, and in a sense you can conceive of it as a cacophony of sounds. And if you don't have a discriminating eye, then it's just that, it's a jungle of sounds. But if someone has a discerning eye, then they will see there is some central purpose, there is some central higher sound, which all of these other sounds are bowing to. And for those who can see that order and see that center, it's clear as day. There's one song of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. It's in our Kirtan book, and he says there that he makes a very bold statement. He says all the Vedas declare that Krishna is the property of Radharani and her girlfriends. What is it? Sarva Veda Bole, Krishna Radha Dasi, something like that. It's a very bold statement. All the Vedas declare this. Krishna is the property of Radharani and her girlfriends. Like, everybody knows this. It's just a known thing. But if you go and ask, 99% of persons who follow the Vedic culture, they may have a different opinion on that. So how can he say such a thing? Because he's seeing, what is the real purpose of the Vedas with a broad and discriminating eye. He can see what's the system, where are they all leading to, and this is also expressed at the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, right? The first 3 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, they're introductory to the text, and they're also laying out Sambandha Abhideya Prayojam. What is the proper understanding of the environment? How is Krishna central and absolute? Then how can we truly reach the lotus feet of Krishna? How can we attain Krishna? And what is ultimately the goal, right? And so in the which we know to be Krishna Prema, divine love for Krishna. So in the third verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, what is this? What is the real gift of Srimad Bhagavatam? In regards to the representing what is the goal of life. And then there's this verse, Nigama Kalpa Tudor, Galitam Phalam, Shuka Mukha, Amrita Drava Samyutam, Vibhata Bhagavatam, Alam Rasayam, what is it? Bhuvi Rasika. Then it gives this wonderful overview of the Vedas. Oh, great to see you, Radhana Rupini. We've been missing you. Been a long time. And also Prema Sindhu Prabhu's joined us from South Africa. Wow, we have a big group today, almost 30 people. Wow. So this verse, it gives this wonderful analogy comparing the Vedas to a wish-fulfilling tree. Why? Because generally the Vedas, they are fulfilling person's desires for dharma, artha, kama, moksha, right? You're familiar with this dhula, right? This has been identified within the Vedas as the 4 principal goals of humankind. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Tell us, what is dharma, artha, kama, moksha?
Religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation.
Very good. Very good. No, I think you got the right order. Yeah, dharma, conventional, generic religion, duty, piety, artha, wealth, kama, sense pleasure, and moksha, liberation, right? These are the 4 ends. You either want to enjoy, or you're tired of the consequences of enjoyment and you just want to be free of the whole thing, right? Generally, everyone fits into one of these 2 categories. This is generally what everyone is aspiring for in this world. So the Vedas, they are supplying these things. How can you get your sense pleasure? How can you increase your wealth? And it's all within the framework of a religious, structured, controlled life. So the enjoyment doesn't get too out of hand, right? So the Vedas, they're compared to this wish-fulfilling tree, Nigama Kalpa Tudor, that are fulfilling these desires of humankind. And then what is Srimad Bhagavatam? It is compared to the fruit on that tree. So everything that's given in this, what is the purpose of a mango tree? To produce a mango, right? And without that mango, so that tree, it's giving some structure, and it's giving there's some development with that tree. But what is there's so many things going on with that tree that can be discussed, but what is the real end, the ultimate purpose of that tree? To produce a mango. So Srimad Bhagavatam is being compared to this mango, this beautiful, it's described as a sweet, tasty, juicy fruit without skin, without seeds. Like here they have these beautiful persimmon, kaki fruits growing. It's just a heavenly experience, very soft. Welcome, Chintamani has just joined us, the 2 of her young charges.
Say hi, because now she's saying hi to us, so you can say hi and everyone can hear you. And say
hi.
Hello. Hi, Krishna.
Hey, hello. We're in Italy. You're in Italy right now. Pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. Wow, Jai.
So it is like that. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj actually wrote a very wonderful verse. It's not so widely known. It was kind of discovered in a known magazine just a few years ago, where he says quite strongly that if Srimad Bhagavatam, Dandavat Vilasani Didi, if Srimad Bhagavatam had not come about, then everything that was given previously in the Vedas could be considered useless. Without that final fruits, that final conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam, tying everything together, then it would all be useless. Different characters, different voices scattered in the wind, right? Disjointed, no overall picture, theme, consistent narrative, But Srimad Bhagavatam, we can also say this about Brahma Samhita. This is one reason why Brahma Samhita is so important for us, since that came up, which we're studying tomorrow. Anyone can join if you like. This is also why Brahma Samhita is so valuable for us, because it's tying everything together and showing what is that central narrative. We've got all these principal figures on the stage, but how do they relate to one another? And what's that central thing that they're all looking at? That is given by Srimad Bhagavatam, that is given by Brahma Samhita, that is given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So then going back to this verse, this is a beautiful verse of Srila Rupa Goswami, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj references it in this discussion. Nikila Shuti Moli Ratnamala Duti Nirajita Pada Pankajanta Yi Mukta Kuleru Pashamana Hari, what is it? Paritas, Harinam, Tam Shayam. The last line is a little wrong, but saying that very beautiful, beautiful prayer, glorification of the holy name. And it is this, first of all, it's referring to the Upanishads, right? The Upanishads, they are a section of the Vedas which are dealing exclusively with spiritual thought. Right? Generally, the Vedas, as we said, they're dealing with a mix. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. They're dealing with a mix. They're catering to people of kindergarten. They're catering to people of high school level. They're catering to people of degree level. It's a mix, right? So the Vedas, so in other words, persons who are still struggling with mundane desires, they want their religion mixed with some candy, they're being catered for. But so the Upanishads and also the Vedanta, they have a special honor within the Vedic texts because they're dealing exclusively with spiritual advice, going beyond the plane of matter. We're Etato Brahma Jigyasa. This is the first line of the Vedanta Sutra, Vedanta Darshan, Brahma Sutras. Now let's search after spirit. Like now we're tired of, this world of enjoyment. It's a tiring plane. We just let's just like get real here. We're soul, okay? Let's deal with that. Let's start talking on that platform. So the Upanishads are also like that. They're in that vein, and so they have a special dignity. And so in this Shruti Mauli is referring Shruti Mauli Ratnamala. It's referring to these Upanishads. It's like the crown jewels of the Vedas, and they're being described as Ratnamala, as a string of jewels, a string of mala, right? A necklace, a garland, like a string of jewels. And what are they doing? These jewels, they're offering arati, duty nirajita pada pankajanta, with their duty, with the light coming from these jewels. They are doing arati, they are doing worship to the holy name. They're all paritastam harinam samshrayami. That's it. This is the last line. They're coming around in a crowd to glorify, to worship this holy name, which is like the central sound. So also what are the Upanishads? They are sounds. And they are all coming together, congregating eagerly around this holy name to offer the light, to do puja to this holy name, the central sound amongst this jungle of sounds. Ayi mukta kuleru pashamana. This is the second, third line. Saying like this ayi is like, my goodness, the mukta kul means the liberated souls, the section of liberated souls. They are worshiping this holy name. And in other words, this holy name is so pure that you can only truly touch it in a liberated state. It is beyond the plane of the senses. It is beyond the plane of the mind, the senses, the intellects, the ego. You can only truly touch it when you're in a pure state, when you've gone past the point of liberation. The liberated souls are worshiping this holy name. So how glorious it is, how great it is. So, this is why we need to have a guide, right? because otherwise we're making contact with this idea, this thing, that thing, but without that overall, that big picture, we'll be lost. And especially when it comes to the Vedas, because there's so much in there, Shutaya Vibhina, right? Yudhisthira Maharaj mentions this. Tarko Pratishta, Shutaya Vibhina, Nasavashir Yashyamatam Nabinam. Dharmasya Tattvam Nihitam Guhayam, Mahajano Yenagatam, Sa Panta. Right? When Yudhisthira Maharaj is being tested by, incidentally, his father, though he doesn't know it at the time. What is the way? How do you know the path? How do you know what is the way? Then Yudhisthira answers like this, Tarko Pratishta, that just arguments, debate, this is inconclusive. Anyone who can debate well, they can come out as the winner, right, in a debate. And the Shrutaya Vibhina, he says, the Vedas, the Shruti, they are so variegated. There are so many different Vedas. In one lifetime, it would be difficult to get through all of it. And sometimes they're literally, sometimes they're contradicting themselves. Just in the same way, someone who's learning the ABCs may be given a slightly different version of things than someone who's being taught at a degree level, right? A different level, not necessarily wrong, but different levels of instruction, different levels of understanding. So sometimes they're opposing one another. So you'll just get lost. And then he says the rishis, the Savashir Yashyamatam Nabi. You can't be a rishi unless you have a different opinion, right? A rishi is like a PhD scholar who's submitting some unique theory, right? So maybe they're just trying to make a name for themselves. So you can't. So then what does he say? Dharmasya tatta nihitam guhayam. That Dharma is Dharma is hidden in the hearts of the Mahajans. Mahajano yenagata sapanta. So whatever the Mahajans, the great souls, advocate, that is the path. Right? That is the path. It is a living thing. It is a living thing within their heart. They're seeing that. Yaninas tattva darshina. They're having darshan of that thing. And many others, they can, like there's that analogy given, the 6 men and the elephant, right? And everyone's grasping on. So no, this is what an elephant is like, holding on to the tail, the leg, the ear, the head, right? Everyone's coming to different conclusions. No, it is like this, no, it is like that. And actually they're not wrong, but they have a limited conception, limited experience of what it is. So you need someone who's in touch with the living thing and who has the overall picture, the 360-degree vision of the thing. So that is why we make life simple for ourselves. We approach those souls. My mommy told me this is my daddy. I'm going to believe her. I'm not going to go and do a DNA test in the laboratory. I'm going to believe my mommy, keep my life simple. Of course, we're not interested in blind faith. Our gurus don't want that from us. No, we want to use some discernment. But most of the hard work's been done for us. We don't need to spend too much time in all of that. Does that answer your question, your heart's need, Dulab Prabhu?
Yes, it does, Mata. Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. And welcome also Somya Sham and Vijayananda Prabhu tuning in from Ireland. And also Jayananda has joined us. Anyone else have any requests for today? Any topic for today? James, you're new to all of this. Is there anything you'd like to hear explained? Or maybe you're not new to all of this, I don't know. But anything you'd like to hear elaborated upon?
Well, Vishakha, I'm sort of a neophyte devotee. I'm reading the Bhagavad Gita at the moment, but also the Mahabharata. So there's nothing in particular I'd like to ask, but I'm also a devotee of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, and I'd like to know a bit about the origins of SCS Math, how it started, yeah, that would be great if you could just give a little background, or if it's not too long. I know you could go on and on really about the origins of SCS Math, but I just, as a neophyte devotee, I'd like to know a bit more, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure, of course. Happy that you asked. And first of all, let's just make it clear, we're all neophyte devotees. we're all beginners here, so don't worry about that. Well, we can say, we think of the members of ISKCON as like our cousins, and actually everything is coming from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. You may have come across that name. He was a great revolutionary in the line of Krishna consciousness, who was active in the 1930s in India, and he established how we practice. He kind of like he created a renaissance. That's the word we can use, I think. He initiated a renaissance within the world of Krishna consciousness, kind of cleaned things up a bit and created a structure which we're following to this day in the Krishna consciousness movement around the world. And so Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, very important for us. He made a lot of revolutionary, also controversial changes in the way that Krishna consciousness is practiced today. And he created an amazing movement, established 64 different centers throughout India, and also sent the first preachers to London and also to Germany. And then his disciples, after he left the world 1936. After he left the world, then his mission kind of broke apart, fractured, as often happens when a great soul leaves the world. And then his principal disciples all started their own missions. And so Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami, who is the founder of our mission, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he's my Param Guru, grandfather Guru. He actually was very reluctant to start his own mission, but he was pushed to it from different sides. And he had quite a unique position, actually, amongst the followers of Srila Saraswati Thakur. He was highly learned, his level of understanding of the Siddhanta, representation of the Siddhanta was, there was only one other person who was on his, had that level of understanding. And he unfortunately deviated and got involved in some unfortunate things. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he really had a unique place. And he was acknowledged in that way by all of his godbrothers, including Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, the founder of ISKCON. Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, he referred to Srila Sridhar Maharaj as one of his gurus. He described him as a Shiksha guru, an instructing guru. And many of his godbrothers, they would come to Srila Sridhar Maharaj for instruction, for blessings, for advice, for guidance. So he had a very unique position. And Srila Saraswati Thakur, his guru, who I mentioned, he also acknowledged him in that way. And he made many significant comments about him. And, he's one of the comments he made. Srila Sridhar Maharaj was also highly gifted in Sanskrit composition. And he wrote some extraordinary Sanskrit compositions, which we're fortunate to have access to today. And one of them, Srila Saraswati Thakur, after reading it, he said, I am satisfied that after I leave this world, at least one man remains behind who understands what my mission is about, who can represent me. And there was also another significant moment when Srila Saraswati Thakur was leaving the world in 1936, when he especially requested Srila Sridhar Maharaj to sing one song, which is held as the highest song in our line, called Shri Rupa Manjari Pada. He requested Srila Sridhar Maharaj 24 hours before he left the world. And everyone who was present, they could understand there was some mystic transmission that was taking place at that time. And so he was, highly revered amongst his godbrothers. And as I said, he originally did not want to start his own mission. He was actually pushing one of his godbrothers forward, and he himself wanted to retreat, But unfortunately, that person he had advocated, as I mentioned before, he left the line. And so Srila Sridhar Maharaj, feeling some push, from the Lord, from his godbrothers, he decided to, in a very modest and quiet way, start his own mission. And so it was 1942, on the day of Ratha Yatra, which is around July, that he very humbly started in a small cottage on the banks of the Ganges in Navadvip, West Bengal. And gradually it grew, and today it is a large worldwide mission. And his successor was Srila Govinda Maharaj, who's our guru, very beloved disciple of his. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj handed everything to him even before he left the world. And our Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj, we consider him to be of the same stature of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and also bringing his own unique spiritual wealth. And so then Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, he started his mission in America. Oh, Scarlett's asking the name of the song. It is called Shri Rupa Manjari Pada. And we actually don't sing that song because we consider it to be too high for us, but we've sung it with our guru, Srila Govinda Maharaj, when he was present, but otherwise we won't sing it. And we have recordings, so we'll hear that, So Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, he started his mission to fulfill the desire of Saraswati Thakur to bring Krishna consciousness around the world. And so this was later, right? Our mission was 1942 begun, and Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, he was actually, he was kind of on the outskirts, like this grand preaching mission of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. During that time, Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, he was a householder. And so he was not directly, he was supporting the preaching very much. And in his own way, he was also preaching, but he had a family, he had a business to run. So it was much later. It was after decades later, after the departure of Saraswati Thakur, that he started his own mission. He left his family life, and he ended up going to America, the age of 69 years old, right? It's an extraordinary story, 1965. And we can also mention, he, as I did indicate earlier, he was very close with Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and he actually requested to take the sannyas order, the renounced order, from Srila Sridhar Maharaj. That was how much regard he had for him. But for different reasons, Srila Sridhar Maharaj didn't. Srila Sridhar Maharaj was always reluctant to take any higher position, right? And so he declined for different reasons, but he sent Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada to another godbrother whom Srila Sridhar Maharaj had given sannyas to. So he said, in that way, you will take the sannyas mantra from me, because I gave it to him and you're taking from him, like that. One Keshav Maharaj. So they have that type of relationship. And there's a whole history, as you said, we could talk for hours about it, but we don't have that much time. But then Swami Maharaj Prabhupada went to America, right, 1965, but he always kept in communication with Srila Sridhar Maharaj and also Srila Govinda Maharaj. And in fact, Srila Sridhar Maharaj was his #1 supporter for different reasons. most of his godbrothers were not so supportive. You know, one of those reasons being that, you know, they were a little wary of the Westerners with their unclean habits, you know, and, you know, we're known as mlechas, you know, in case you didn't know, you know, persons who, you know, were kind of just, you know, outside of the spectrum, like outcasts. We don't have any, you know, standard, you know, no, you know, we eat with our left hand and all kinds of things, and we don't know which way is up and down, left or right. You know, we don't know anything. So for different reasons, they weren't so supportive. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj did so much to advise him, encourage him, support him. And then when Srila Prabhupada Swami Maharaj started coming back to India, Srila Sridhar Maharaj was instrumental in receiving him, and even in acquiring the lands, ISKCON's principal world headquarters in Mayapur, Navadvip. It was our Guru Srila Govinda Maharaj who bought that land in his own, in his name, because Prabhupada, he couldn't do it. He was getting so much opposition from the locals. So it was Srila Sridhar Maharaj and our Guru Srila Govinda Maharaj who did that on his behalf and then transferred it to him. So very, very close relationship. And Srila Swami Maharaj also, before he got that land of his own, he used to come and stay in our temple, you know, to come and spend time, extended periods of time there, speaking every day with Srila Sridhar Maharaj. So they had a very close, very intimate relationship, and were very, very supportive of one another. And so they're like, you can say they're parallel missions that were started at slightly different times for slightly different reasons. And then I can also add on to that to conclude that when Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada was leaving the world, he instructed some of his disciples, you know, after I leave, if you need further guidance, then go to Sridhar Maharaj. You know, he said, he's someone who I approach for advice, for guidance. So what to speak of the benefit that you can get from him, from his guidance. And before that, Srila Prabhupada also sent some of his disciples for special training. You know, there were a few that I know of. There one Achyutananda, maybe Ramanuja. There were a few that they were disciples of Srila Prabhupada, who he sent to stay in Srila Sridhar Maharaj's mat, in his temple, for extra training. And he made some comment, you know, I'm sending you rough diamonds. You know, they need some polishing. You know, so you please do that. So he wanted, Srila Prabhupada wanted to make Srila Sridhar Maharaj the president of ISKCON. You know, it was a very, very special relationship that they had. So as I said, you know, we think of the members of ISKCON as our cousins. You know, we are part of the same family tree. You know, we are part of the same family tree. Does that satisfy you, James? Is that making sense?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks. I've actually been taking notes, writing down notes. So yeah, I've got a couple of pages now. Thanks for that. And that gives a really good background, you know.
That's some serious students here tonight.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Guardian of Devotion. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Krishna Kantadidi is recommending. There's one booklet. Maybe we can ask Chintamani to share it in the chat later, where I can send the link to Robert. There's one book that was made, Guardian of Devotion, which is describing the relationship between Srila Sridhar Maharaj and Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, and including some transcripts of some of their conversations. We have some recordings. We're blessed to have some recordings of them speaking with one another, which are very wonderful to hear. So we can share that with you also. Yeah. Does anyone else add anything to what's been said? Chinmoy Prabhu or Rasaraj Prabhu or any of the distinguished Vaishnavas present here? Rama Vertan. I think a lot of these people are coming from Europe. We've never had so many people. Rama Vertan in Sardinia.
Yes.
You know him, yeah. Welcome, welcome. He's Italian. Welcome, Ramavatam Prabhu. Is everyone frozen? No, they're not frozen. Okay, well, we still have 15 minutes left. Does anyone else want to bring up any topic? There's Ramavatam Dandavat. Radhana Rupini looks like she wants to say something. Anything you want to add to me?
Didi?
Yes.
Can you say something about like the chanting of the Maha Mantra and how sometimes we're inspired and sometimes we're not? I've been traveling since October, and that's why I haven't been able to come. I feel so bad. I actually went to the Chaitanya Seva Ashram just last month, so it was really nice.
Really? Wonderful. Yeah, we were missing you. Great to have you back.
But now I'll be home, so I had children to tend to, so even if they're grown up, you have to tend to them.
Radhana Rupini, she's an disciple of Srila Prabhupada. She's one of the stalwarts. So on the chanting of the holy name, sometimes we're inspired and sometimes not.
Yes.
Very good topic. Yes. Well, we hear about the inspiration that the great souls have, right? Rupa Goswami, Tunde Tandavinidatim, this verse. He's saying that this sweetness in this holy name, when I hear that name in my ears, I think 2 ears are not enough. Karnar Bude Vyas Priham, 2 ears are not enough. I need millions of ears to hear the sweetness of this holy name. And when that name is on my tongue, I think 1 tongue is not enough. Tunde Tandavinidatin. I'm missing that. Tunde Tandavinidatin Vitanute. And 1 tongue is not enough. I need millions of tongues to be able to taste the sweetness of this holy name. Chaita Prangana Sangini Vijayate, and when that name is in the plane of my consciousness and it paralyzes all of my senses. They all become frozen. So no jane janita piyadbir amritai krishneti varnadvai. So I cannot say within just these 2 syllables, krishneti varnadvai. It's only 2 syllables, Krishna. I cannot say no jane janita. I cannot say how much amrita, how much nectar is within them. So then we look at ourselves and, am I experiencing that? I'm not so sure. I don't know. I'm not so sure about that. So then why? And actually, this is a very good question. It sounds like a simple question, but it's not. Like, this is a serious thing that we should consider. We shouldn't just take it for granted that it's okay we're not feeling that. And there's one talk of Gurudev. I think it was published by Goswami Maharaj as Demolishing the Pillars of Ego, where he brings this up and he says, we should think about this point. All the scriptures, they're telling us this is so. They're not all trying to cheat us. They're not lying to us. They're all just telling a big story. No, it's not the case. So then we have to look at ourselves and ask, why am I not experiencing that? Why am I not experiencing that in a real way? So I'm very happy that you brought this up. Why don't I have Krishna Prema right now? Why can I not? Like, it's not like we should just think, oh, it's very far away and one day I'll get it. And in the meantime, I'll just hang out here on the couch, watch Netflix. Yeah. One day. No, let's really think about this. Why don't I have it? What am I doing wrong? Oh, yes, some great saints in the ancient bygone ages, they had it, And one day, millions of years from now. No, let's really ask this question. Why don't I have it? And Gurudev, he referenced this verse, this ahankara nivritanam keshavo nahi doraka ahankara yutanam hi madhye parvata rasaya. Saying that for someone speaking with this ahankara, right, the false ego, for one who has ahankara, false ego, false conception of life, it is as if there is a great mountain range between them and the Lord. But for one who is free from this ahankara, Keshavo nahi duraka. Keshava, the Lord Keshava, Lord Krishna, he is not far away. He is very close. As our Gurudev said, there's not 1 inch of space between us and the Lord. He's right here. He's in our heart. He's right here. Sometimes I think of it as like in a attached housing, and you have a neighbor on the other side. And especially in modern society, right? Like, we don't know our neighbors, a lot of the time. It's embarrassing. You could be living next to someone for years and you just have your own lives going on. And you don't know. And you're right, there's just a wall between you, but you're living totally separate lives. It's like that. Krishna's right here. But this ego, this ahankar, mundane conception of life, it's creating this wall. So this is the question. How to become free from that. And that's where all of our practices of devotion come in, right? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Swananam, Pada Sevanam, hearing, chanting, remembering, Vaishnava Seva, service to the saints, the Vaishnavas. But yes, Radha Rupini, she knows all of these things, and she's still asking the question. So what is it, right? What is the point here? How can we maintain inspiration when we don't have inspiration, right? How can we go on? How can we keep doing it when we don't have it, right? This is the question. In one place, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and our Gurudev, he made the similar point too, that one way in which we can think of it is that our gurus have it, right? We cannot chant, actually. With our mundane tongue, we cannot chant. That transcendental name, super mundane, divine sound, we can't access that right now. What is that verse? Chinmoy Prabhu. Begins with A.
Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhavet Grahyam Indriyaihi.
Yes, yes, thank you. Yes. Yeah, please say the whole verse. Yes, I forgot Subhasini is here.
Atha Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhavet Grahyam Indriyaihi Sevan Mukhehi Jihvado Swayam Eva Spuratyataha.
Jai, Subhasini. Thank you so much. Yeah. So yes, the holy name, everything about the Lord, it is beyond the plane of our senses. We cannot access that divine plane. However, Sevan Mukhe Hijivada Swami, through the service attitude, right? Sevan Mukata, we may attract that divine plane to descend within the plane of our experience. Then we may get some touch sometimes, right? But otherwise, we cannot touch. Those two things cannot meet. So then what does it come down to? Our gurus have it, and we are serving them, and they asked us to keep chanting, and we have love, we have attachment for our gurus, so we are following we made a promise. Our Guru Dev once referred to initiation as a promise. We made a promise to our guru that we will do this every day, and we are following that promise. We are taking that medicine. And Rupa Goswami, right? He also gives this analogy. The Suvasini, remember that verse? I can't remember right now. Are you there, Suvasini? How does it go? Upadeshamrita. Somebody remember?
Sorry, I just went out a little bit. I didn't know what you're asking, please.
Oh, the
Candy sweet one?
What did you say?
The candy sweet one? For
Yeah, the
holding
jaundice example, yeah. I can't remember. But this analogy is given, right?
Nama Charitadi.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. Say it again, Prabhu?
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat.
Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitapya Vidya. Yeah, Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitapya Vidya Pitopatapta Rasanatsanavaruchikanu. That we have this disease of jaundice, this disease of the liver, which causes us to taste sweet as bitter. And literally, you'll experience that if you have this disease. You can drink something very sweet and just have to spit it out because it tastes bitter to you. But then there's an Ayurvedic remedy of rock candy, which cures it. And so creates I believe, some stimulation of the bile or something like that. And so gradually, you're taking that medicine, which is very sweet. It is rock candy. It is very sweet. And when you first begin taking it, it tastes bitter. But then gradually, you start, as you are cured, then you begin to slowly taste the sweetness that is there. So it is like that, And this is also why sadhana is important for us. Right? Some regulated, disciplined, practicing life. Because in a sense, we're at war with ourselves. We're at war with ourselves, My mother, Devi Dasi, she joined us last week, and she made this very funny point, how she was saying that we're in a war against Maya, illusion, and we don't need friends, we need allies. She was saying, our friends are not always our real friends. Our friends are gonna, take us to the movies, take us out for pizza, take us down to the pub or whatever, right? When you need to wake up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m., it's your ally who's going to come and bang on your door. It's time for arati. That's a true ally.
With myself.
Yes. Okay. So, in a sense, we're at war with ourselves, and so we need some discipline. We need allies. We need some structure. And, we can't expect, that we're always going to get that buzz, that we're always going to be seeing the Hollywood lights, And this is also a test of our faith, that we can continue even when we're not getting that. It's like sometimes I hear, with like couples, they have this discussion, like they have this awareness, that in the beginning, there's going to be the honeymoon period, right? Where you just adore each other and you love everything about the other person, even all the annoying things that they do. They're so charming, right? But like a few months or a few years down the line, like then you have to think, do we still like each other then? Like, let's think about that. Once the honeymoon, what is it? Honeymoon. Once the honeymoon period has worn off, then do we have a friendship? You know, do we have something solid like to work with? Because we know this is going to end soon. You know? So then there's going to be an element of duty, right? A mother, you know, a parent does not always feel ecstatic to change their baby's diaper, right? You know, like maybe in the beginning, everything's going to be really new and charming and exciting, you know, buying clothes for the baby and baby bottles and the baby room and all the other things. It's all very exciting and wonderful. But at a certain point, it's just going to be a drag, right? At a certain point, it's like, I do not feel like, you know, taking care of my screaming baby right now. You know, so then there's an element of duty that comes in, right? And with our practicing life, it's like that too. Sometimes we're getting that buzz, sometimes we're feeling the magic, and sometimes we're doing our duty. Sometimes we're carrying out our promise. You know, and sometimes we hear this mood amongst practitioners, oh, if I don't feel it, I'm not going to do it. You know, I'm not going to do it. You know, what does Krishna Kansuji have to say about that? I would like
What he says perfect.
Oh, I'm not going to do it unless I'm really feeling it. No, like, it doesn't really work like that. Oh, I'm not going to feed my kid today because I'm just not feeling it. No. Because we're not enlightened souls, right? So we're not always going to feel the joy of spiritual life. You know, this is something that I've been talking about a lot recently, this point that, you know, many things that come down to us as rules or regulations, they're actually expressions of love and just describing a natural way of being of the higher souls. You know, like every evening we're doing an arati, right? That can either be seen as a ritualistic Vedic practice, or it can be seen as a loving expression of devotion, right? It goes both ways. It can be either. And we're in that stage now where we may not always be feeling the love. You know, it may be like, this is my duty. You know, this is what I promised to do, and I'm going to do it, right? But then when we're in higher consciousness, we'll be doing the same thing, but the feeling will be different. And this is a wonderful point, the sadhana and the sadhya, right? Sadhana means the practice, and sadhya means the goal. At a it's not like, you know, once you get to, you know, you reach like executive status, and then there's a secret club and you get to know all these secret extra things that nobody else has, or, you know, or like our good friend Shuddha Shavu would joke, like, you know, what's our Gurudev getting out of it? Is he gonna get like a golden spoon to eat his breakfast with? You know, like you'll be doing all the same things. You know, you'll be going to arati, you know, you'll be taking prasadam, you'll be cleaning the temple, you know, you'll be taking the name, all the same things, you know, but the standpoint is different. The consciousness is different. There's nothing, you know, there's no secret extra bonus, you know, that nobody else is getting. You know? You'll be doing all the same things, you know, but you'll be experiencing inconceivable joy. Okay, Marie, thanks for joining. So we you know, we made a promise to our gurus, you know, we love our gurus, we made a commitment, and we're following the Dharma. Right? Srila Sridhar Maharaj made some comment, like when we don't have love, we have duty. You know, Bhaktivinoda Thakur analyzes these 4 modes of motivations, right? Fear, prospect, duty, and love. Right? So love is the highest. But when we don't have love, then we have duty. You know, that's the next best thing. And we know that there's something waiting for us, right? And we know the road's not always going to be easy, but we have no other way in life. We have nowhere else to go. So we are going forward. We are going forward. As our Gurudev, he said once, you know, in the winter, the sun does not always shine, but we don't stop our duty because of that. Oh, I don't feel like going out today. Just screw the whole thing. I'm going to stay in bed. no, we still have some duty to do. So that is our level right now. And that is also a joyful thing, because we have hope, we have prospect, and we have glorious guardians, and they have it. You know, they have it, and we are serving them. So what more could we want? Well, we're just about going over time now. Does that satisfy your question, Didi?
More than satisfies my question. Thank you so much. And I think also it's so important to have association, and even online like this, it's very nice.
Yes, that's another important point, you know, that, you know, I mean, I get so much out of that, you know, when I see, you know, especially like when I see some of the young newcomers coming, and they have so much more than me, you know. I mean, I'm getting something from them. So having that association, that's very, very valuable, very precious. To see the enthusiasm when we're not feeling there's one line, I believe it's in Bhagavatam, not that one. I can't remember, but it's describing the practice of devotion and association as remembering and also reminding. No, being reminded and reminding others. There's this reciprocity that's taking place. And sometimes others are reminding us, and sometimes we're reminding them. This is real friendship, you know, consciousness. And so, yes, we're very blessed if we can have that type of association. You know, even, you know, there's that beautiful expression of Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada where he says, I hope that one of my disciples can become great enough to be able to bring me back to Godhead. You know, he's saying that himself, you know. That is his feeling, you know, that he's feeling I don't have it, but I hope one of my disciples will have it, and they can bring me home. All right, well, it's been a beautiful meeting with all of you.
Thank you.
And any last comment anyone wants to make before we close for tonight? We turn things over to our host.
Just that one shloka that says, the holy names are so great, but I'm so unfortunate because I have no taste for them. I have no attraction for them. You know, that kind of feeling comes to me a lot. Like a lot of times I am chanting out of duty.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that verse. That's Mahaprabhu's verse in the Shikshashtakam, this Nam Nama Kari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis. And actually in the beginning that verse came to mind and I forgot. So I'm glad you mentioned it. Yes, that's also relevant where K Suvasini Dandavat, thank you for joining. You know, where Mahaprabhu is expressing the sentiment in the mood of a devotee that, oh, the Lord has been so merciful. He's given so many names and he's given all his potency in these names. Given such a great opportunity, but ihajani nan dordaivam idrisham ihajani nanu. My misfortune is I had no taste for that, right? But Srila Maharaj makes a very nice point here that very sentiment actually qualifies one for the holy name. Why? Because that gives a mood of humility, and humility is the starting point. We cannot get anything unless we have that feeling of humility, that I don't have it, right? We have to first realize that we don't have it in order to receive it, because otherwise we can live in a state of delusion, right? And think that we already have it, right? Or think it's something that it's not. So to have that healthy feeling that, oh, I don't have it, that Srila Maharaj points out, that actually qualifies us to receive it. And then that brings us to the next verse, right? Chinada peace unichena, you know, humility to one who is humbler than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, gives honor to others that are expecting it for themselves. Kirtaniya sadahari, they can chant that name. So then, you know, this also opens up a whole other discussion, right? We can re-examine ourselves, reassess ourselves. How is my practice? How are my relationships with the devotees? You know, am I serving the devotees? Am I relating with them in a proper mood of Vaishnavism? Am I really doing the most to invite grace within my life? You know, is my heart an attractive place, a suitable place to receive that holy name? All of these things. So yes, thank you, Ajita Krishna, for bringing that up. Okay.
Did Rasa Raja Prabhu, did he want to say something? He had his hand up.
Oh, okay. Thanks for noticing.
Yes. And that's, no, actually, you thought I was going to make an opinion that there's a worse problem that not have any attraction for chanting the holy name. It's like feeling that I get something. That is worse. Because then we go in the wrong way. If we feel like we are advanced or we are receiving something from the holy name, that is a different kind of problem. Even worse than don't feel it. But you answered that, you give it that opinion already. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rasraj. I like how you articulated that. Yeah, it's another type of problem. more serious problem. Nice. All right. So yeah, it's a good problem. Rather than routine, this is a good problem. healthy signs. Healthy signs along the way. All right. So maybe we'll close there for today. Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. All the assembly devotees sincere. Jai.
Thank you for your association.
Dandavat.
Krishna Kanti, any final wisdom or group? Please. Very beloved daughter of our Gurudev.
Hare Krishna, Vishakha, thank you.
Dandavat. Jai Vishakha Devi Dasi ki Jai. Jai Gila Govinda Ashram ki Jai. Jai Vishakha Devi Dasi. Jai Munindra Prabhu. Jai Madananda Prabhu. Jai Shanti Mandir Devi Dasi ki Jai.
When are you coming, Chimoy?
Marzo.
He's saying March now.
She's forcing me.
I'm forcing.
She's forcing me to come.
And good. You have a good wife. Tell him. Okay. All right.
Look who's here, Ramasundar Prabhu in my group.
Jai, Dandavat Prabhu, good to see you. I'm Adurananda. Jai.
And Anandit is here, and Ukrainian friends Kamala and Nadia are also here. And also we have Kalia Daman Prabhu. Maybe Kalia Prabhu, you want to sing Hari Hadaya Nama? Do you know, maybe you know Rasaraj Prabhu? Yeah, Rasaraj Prabhu, are you here? No, maybe he left. No. So if anyone wants to stick around, Kalia Daman Prabhu is going to lead us in Hari Hadaya Nama Krishna. So is that okay, Chinmoy Prabhu? We have time? Okay, we have time.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama. Jai, Jai.